Right, scalp micropigmentation after 5 years. Now, it's a big question. A lot of people hit us up with what's it going to look like after 5, 10 years? Well, the biggest worry for people is that it's going to spread and blue. That's always the biggest question that I get. And the reason for that happening is the original treatment's not done properly. There's a few factors that come into play. They've either just tapped it all over the scalp really lightly and it's just created this big stain, or they've gone in too heavy on each and every impression, taking it a little bit too deep, making it closer to what a regular tattoo would be, and in which case that would be deeper in the skin, and over time it's going to slowly spread. Now, the darkness of it, if somebody's diluted it slightly wrong, then that also can make it spread. The reason being is if people use quite a thick viscosity of ink, they have to dilute it, then that thickness as it coming through the needle is going to impregnate in the skin, and over time it's going to gradually spread. So the artist who's doing your treatment, if you want it to long last your lifetime, then it's going to need to be done right in the first place, and you want to have clean, tight impressions. And we don't want to go into too deep of technique of how to achieve this, but a few of the major factors are when your artist is doing the SMP, he needs to have a big tight stretch on the skin. This enables the skin to just have a pinpoint impression on there, rather than when the skin is loose, someone's just tapping away with a needle. That needle is actually ripping the skin as it's going through and placing the ink into a ripped piece of skin that can then gradually spread. So we want a real tight hold on the skin whilst we're making each and every impression, using just the tip of the needle with the correct ink dilution. So nowadays we've got Bishop shades, which is already diluted and preset to the shades that you need. So let me give you an example. 5 years scalp micropigmentation healed. What's it going to look like? This is actually quite hard to come by, because most people, I'd say the majority, if Sammy was here, he'd say 98%. All right. But most people, once they've had scalp micropigmentation, they're going to get some sort of top up session maybe 2 years later. All right. Usually this is because they just want more. They really enjoy what they've got. They want to enhance it. So to find somebody with 5 years is actually quite difficult. All right. So, but I have this client, 5 years. We first done him originally back in 2019. As you can see, original treatment looked absolutely amazing. What we've done is we've done a slightly faded hairline and slightly receded into the corners to keep it really natural, and some really fine work as we're going through the top. Use multiple different shades. If you're using Bishop shades, the shades numbers were on the first session, it was a number 9, and then it was a number 8, and then it was a number 7 on the third session. All right. So that's all gone through the top. And as we got through to the edges at the front, we just left it softer. All right. So this was designed as a really natural, soft, receded hairline for our client. 5 years later, here it is. And what we want to see, or what I want to see from a treatment, is it's obviously not going to look exactly the same. So SMP is designed to be in a shallower depth of skin. It is designed to gradually get lighter over time. Now, what we do in the way that the Bishop shades was created, every time you use a different shade, they're going to lighten over time. So each shade, let's say it's a few years later, they're going to be probably 2 shades lighter than when we first put them on. But you're still going to have the difference between the shades. So as them shades lighten off, that number 9, which is a really light shade, is almost going to disappear. So that's when you'll see, if we look at the close-up here, all right, you're going to see little breaks. You're going to see areas where the hair has probably receded slightly more, and then you're going to get a few little gaps where it's been blended into it. You're going to get wear and tear of the skin. Some areas are going to get a bit lighter, but overall, you've just got like the same treatment. And when we look in close, you can see the pinpoint impressions that are on there with the multiple different shades. All right, so it's the kind of treatment that we want to see when it's healed a few years later. And for our client, what he can do now is just top it up, and we go back to the original darkest shade that we used before, which was a number 7, and then we can top up through there using the treatment that's already there as the kind of base layer. All right, and then it'll just pop it back to life, and he's good to go for another 5 years if he wants. All right, so this is an ideal example. So looking at the overall treatment, and you can see when we zoom in here, you can see the lighter and the darker shades, and they've gradually lightened up over the years. You've got some separation between the native hair and the SMP. It's been blended through, but the natural hair has started to recede slightly, but it still looks really natural. I like to see all them breaks and them lighter areas, and that's what actually makes SMP look natural, not when you've just got it all plastered on and the painted look. So if you want SMP looking good after 5 years, you need to get it done right in the first place. All right. So, and as I always say, the best way to find out if anybody's any good at SMP is not through watching videos, not through looking at photos, because there is all sorts of trickery that can be at play there. All right. You need to visit the clinic, you need to visit the artist, and you need to see their healed work. Then you can make a decision of who you want to do your SMP, and you've got the best chance of success and having SMP looking really good after 5 years once you've done that. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you next time.